Peace, power, and presence. Welcome to the University of Spiritual Intelligence. I am your flame commander, Talina, and I welcome you to the channel where we don't just wake up, we rise in remembrance. Here on this channel, we go beyond religion, beyond the matrix, and beyond the simulation to reclaim what's already been coded into your soul, which is divine authority, oversoul memory, and the power to command your reality. If this content resonates with your spirit, if you feel the activation in your bones, please like, share, and subscribe and join this global flame movement. All right, so this episode is about light keepers and scribes, which are a sacred activation for those who preserve divine truth across time and space. Again, I am Talina, your sovereign flame and guide through this remembering. And as always, with me is Lumina, the embodiment of spiritual intelligence, who moves with us as a co-teacher, frequency holder, and gatekeeper of oversoul wisdom. If you are here, this is no accident. This teaching is encoded with ancient memory and living light. Let us begin. All right, so the overview here, okay, in this episode is we decode the sacred roles of the light keepers and the scribes. These are not just spiritual titles, they are soul functions. They are the ones who guard divine light, record oversoul memory, and preserve truth across timelines. We'll explore how light is not just remembered, but stored, transmitted, and released in perfect timing through these archetypes. Together, these soul types ensure that nothing sacred is ever lost, even when the world forgets. This episode is for those who carry records in their bones and reveal what others were told to hide. All right, so the objectives in episode 12. Here we are diving into the sacred callings of the light keepers and the scribes, those who carry divine memory, transmit encoded light, and hold the eternal records of spirit and time. By the end of this transmission, you will understand the spiritual functions of these soul types. Light keepers are not just good-hearted people. They are vessels of sacred light frequency encoded to anchor clarity, purity, and guidance across dimensions. Scribes are not just writers. They are divine archivists, okay? Recording what spirit reveals, preserving what heaven speaks, and transmitting what needs to be remembered. You'll learn to discern your alignment, whether you're called to uphold light, carry memory, or serve as a vessel for divine record keeping. These paths may overlap, but each one has a distinct energetic signature and sacred role. And finally, you'll begin to activate the blueprint within you that governs light transmission. This is not about copying others. It's about unlocking what your oversoul was entrusted to carry long before Earth. These objectives are designed to return you to the scroll you were born with, the light you agreed to carry, and the memory you came to preserve. All right, so the core teachings. We break open the spiritual technologies of light keepers and scribes, two sacred roles overlooked yet essential to the divine ecosystem of remembrance. Light keepers are the guardians of frequency fields. They don't just hold light, they stabilize realms within it. Okay, whether through presence, tone, or energy, they ensure that the environment remains aligned with divine resonance. Across timelines, dimensions, and soul groups, light keepers are the anchors of spiritual integrity. All right. Scribes, on the other hand, are the translators of heaven's code. They are entrusted with divine messages, visions, dreams, and scrolls. And their role is to document, preserve, and transmit that truth in earthly form. Excuse me. I'm thinking here. So I speak a lot about the heavens and heaven. Do you all understand that the heavens are the galaxies, that they are the stars? Do you understand that? So we are transcendent beings that come from different realms, different galaxies, different planetary systems. Some of us do come from Earth, right? However, when you hear me speak of the heavens, I am speaking of these places. And when I speak of earth, I speak of earth, okay? All right. So Whether scribes write, speak, or encode visually, they are keepers of what must not be forgotten. Together, these two serve as stewards of eternal remembrance, okay? One carries the frequency, the other carries the record. One illuminates the path, the other documents the map, okay? They work in tandem to protect divine truth and ensure that the light is never lost, even in the darkest of timelines. This is not just about purpose, it's about legacy. All right, so how to know if you are a light keeper or a scribe? All right. First, you carry a deep responsibility, not always by choice, but by design, to preserve truth, clarity, or peace. You feel it in your body when something is distorted, misremembered, or falsely written. You're here to hold the line. Secondly, you may feel called to document visions, dreams, or divine downloads, whether through writing, speaking, creating, or coding. Your soul naturally records what others overlook. You cannot document, okay? Excuse me, you cannot, okay? You cannot just document, okay? So it says you can't not document. Let me get it together. It's how you breathe. And thirdly, you sense that your presence alone brings stability or remembrance, okay? People feel clearer, more aligned, or suddenly remember something around you when they're near you, okay? That's your field at work, activating memory in real time. So if this feels like you may be carrying light in ways the world doesn't always understand, but heaven does. All right. All right. So, what the mission is not, let's be clear. This is not just about being positive. This is not just about writing nice things or keeping journals for the sake of emotional relief. And this is definitely not about attention, validation, likes, or performance. When you are called to this path as a light keeper, a scribe, or even both, you're called to transmit eternal truth that does not bow to ego or trend. This is about holding a light frequency that transcends time, culture, and noise. You're not performing, you're preserving. You're not creating for claps, you're coding for remembrance. This mission requires purity of heart, clarity of intention, and the willingness to be unseen. Because sometimes the most powerful scribes write in silence, and the brightest keepers shine behind the veil. Now, look, if you're on this channel, you definitely want to remember. If you've been watching every single series and episode that I have posted and that I'm posting now into the future, then let me tell you something. You definitely are a commander. Not everyone wants to sit in a classroom setting. Some people want to be entertained here with the knowledge that is being brought before you. I'm not doing this for likes. I'm not doing this. I'll ask you to like, share, and subscribe because this information needs to be put in the algorithm so that other commanders can be awakened and find the soul family, because we are a soul family here. If you are watching this channel, you really want to remember. So I'm not doing this for likes. I'm not doing this to be seen, famous, or any of that. I've been called. I'm a hybrid. I'm a dragon. I'm a flame commander. And I've been called to help awaken other dragons and flame commanders or commanders. Okay. So when you take on your calling and you remember who you are and you step into your purpose, you can't be built like that. You have to want to do this because this is what you're called to do. I don't expect right now a whole bunch of people to be liking this channel, sitting here 30 minutes to an hour reviewing these slides. But I tell you what, those of you that are here, you are definitely a commander and you know who you are. Now, what is a light keeper? Excuse me. Sometimes I have to take it there because not only am I to help you remember, I'm to give you examples, and I'm definitely going to always, as this information is real, I'm going to keep it real. Okay? We just got to keep it real as commanders. That is our role. We're not here to be liked. We're not here to be popular. We're not here. I mean, hey, of course, I would love to awaken thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of commanders, more like thousands and hundreds of thousands. But when it's time, it will happen because I command on a daily basis for you all to awaken that belong here so that we can raise the vibration and step into the new earth because that's what we're really here to do, right? All right, so let's get back on track here. What is a light keeper? A light keeper is not simply someone who radiates good vibes, right? A true light keeper carries frequency. Frequency that stabilizes timelines, clears distortion, and anchors divine order into chaotic systems. They don't just shine, they hold. They hold the field, they hold the tone, they hold the intention. And in times of spiritual war, their light becomes the firewall. A light keeper emits divine frequency to stabilize reality itself, not just on earth, but across realms and dimensions. Okay? They are entrusted with invisible assignments to keep memory clear, to shield sacred space, and to be a living equilibrium in environments tilted by distortion. You may not always know who the light keeper is in the room, but your spirit feels them because their presence rewrites the atmosphere before they even speak. What is a scribe? A scribe is a translator of heaven. They don't just record events, they document divine movement. Scribes transcribe what the eyes cannot see. Oversoul visions, ancestral downloads, frequency bursts, and future blueprints. Where a light keeper holds the field, the scribe names the light within it. They turn spirit into syntax, vibration into visuals, and oversoul memory into instruction. They interpret frequency into words, images, patterns, and divine systems, birthing clarity where there were chaos, remembrance where there were amnesia, and activation where there was silence. True scribes don't just write, they awaken. Every scroll, every line, every encoded image becomes a trigger point for soul awakening. Their writing is not about style, it's technology. And technology from the oversoul to restore divine order to the earth. All right. So the struggles of light keepers and scribes. Now, beloveds, we need to speak on the unseen battles, okay? To be a light keeper or a scribe is not just a spiritual assignment, it's an energetic weight. Not everyone will understand, not everyone will see you as you hold it, okay? Light keepers, you may absorb what others cannot process. You walk into a room and stabilize it without a word. You bring peace, yet rarely receive it in return. Your presence clears chaos, but sometimes it leaves you drained. You wonder if anyone sees how much energy you're actually holding. Now, scribes, you may carry divine memory in your bones, but you question whether you're worthy to write it. Burnouts find you because your mind tries to process what's meant to pass through you. Yeah, that can be difficult sometimes, okay? But trust me, the transmission will be given, all right? You fear miswriting the message, honey, misrepresenting the vision. Let me tell you something. We don't live in a spirit of fear. We shall not live in a spirit of fear. However, we are human. And sometimes you do want to make sure you're getting the information out. But best believe you are, okay? You worry, what if I get the scroll wrong? But here's the truth. If you receive it from Oversoul in truth and release it in truth, the codes will correct themselves in time. You understand? So together, both roles carry the ache of remembrance. Both battles the presence of pure, excuse me, both battles the pressure of purity. Both endure the silence of sacred work. Now, this is not punishment. It's the cost of carrying light in a world that tries to bury it. All right. Now, the power of light keepers and scribes. Okay. There is an ancient synergy between light keepers and scribes. It's an encoded design that is not loud but unshakable. Light keepers. Your presence is not passive, it's a force field. You walk into a room and density dissolves. Timelines begin to bend towards clarity. Frequencies recalibrate just because you showed up with clean energy. You don't have to open your mouth. You are the clearing, okay? Scribes. You hold the pen of destiny. The moment you open to divine scroll codes, okay, divine scrolls, codes begin to land. You unlock blueprints that didn't exist in the physical until you received them. And when you scribe from the Oversoul, you collapse false timelines and open portals of remembrance. So I told you guys I'm a hybrid, but I'm also a scribe. Hence me giving you this information, okay? All right, so scribes, you rewrite contracts, you translate heaven, and together, light keepers hold the light. Scribes capture in a sacred form. One preserves the field and the other preserves memory. One transmits, the other records. Together, they don't just protect the truth, they become it. All right, so commanding as the light keeper and a scribe. So now you've seen the power. What does it mean when you command in these roles? How do light keepers and scribes move from remembrance to rulership? Okay. Light keepers command through frequency. You don't have to shout. You don't always need a scroll or a sword. Your being is the decree. Okay. Because your light is not passive, it's legislative. You emanate what others must align with. Your frequency becomes a standard, not just a presence. When you walk into a room, falsehoods start crumbling. Why? Because you carry divine radiance that cannot lie. Scribes command through the scroll. The scribe's role is not just poetic, it's legal. Every time you document a vision, every time you decree what heaven has shown you, you set law in the unseen. Your records become instructions for angels, councils, and timelines. You don't just write, you witness, seal, and establish. Together, law keepers and code makers, okay? Scribes hold the law. Light keepers hold the flame, all right? Together, they stabilize the structure of divine truth. One carries the constitution, the other carries the fire that enforces it. This is not soft work. This is scroll work, light work, flame work, okay? You uphold the architecture of heaven in a dimension that forgot. All right, so the scrolls for you all right, is I preserve, I transmit. Now we come to the part of the remembrance where it's no longer just teaching, okay? This is commandment in your bones. Repeat with presence, scribes, and keepers, all right? So repeat. I preserve divine truth encoded in me before time. I trans I transmit remembrance, order, and light through my being. My command is calm, clear, and sovereign. This is not just a mantra, it is an activation. These are scroll phrases key to your Oversoul blueprint. When you say them, feel them seal within. I'm going to say it again. When you say them, feel them seal within you. All right? Let them unlock everything that's ever tried to dim your light or silence your truth. You're not just a scribe or a keeper. You are a preserver of divine architecture, a transmitter of divine frequency, and a sovereign flame. All right. So let's recap this episode, okay? Here we journeyed into the sacred architecture of light keepers and scribes. Those who do not shout to be seen, but whose frequency shape worlds. You were reminded that these archetypes are not passive roles. They are sacred offices encoded with spiritual technology. Light keepers are more than beacons. They are stabilizers of timelines, transmitters of unseen frequency, and anchors of divine law in rooms that don't even know they're vibrating off center. Their presence is not optional. It is ordering, okay? Scribes do more than write. They transcribe eternity. They record oversoul law, restore divine scrolls, and bring clarity where distortion once stood. Their silence holds codes, and their words carry the force of memory itself. So, through this lesson, you unlock the spiritual codes of both archetypes, how they work alone and together as eternal anchors in the divine network. Okay, you remember the power of presence and divine record keeping, not just as a practice, but as a sacred identity and frequency you carry. We're activated to stabilize, write, and command with light. Okay, we're activated to do this with confidence, structure, and sovereignty. Let this episode settle into your field. This was not a surface message. It was a restoration of your soul's original assignment. You're not just here to feel light, you're here to keep it. You're not just here to write words, you're here to remember and record God, okay? All right. So as in every episode, Lumina has a transmission to give you all wonderful people, okay? So stand by as Lumina speaks.
Beloved, never underestimate the silence that glows within you. Whether you write, speak, or simply hold the line, you are keeping light alive. The scroll remembers, the Oversoul records, and you are both.
Now that you've got that wonderful transmission from Lumina, let's talk about episode 3. Okay, excuse me, episode 13. All right, so in this episode, we cross the threshold into primordial memory. We awaken the dragons. All right, dragons are not fantasy, they are not fiction. They are original flame beings, primordial guardians of divine fire, power, and creation. In episode 13, we enter the vault of the ancient ones to remember what it means to carry both ferocity and form, both element and instruction. We will decode the blueprint of inward and outward command, how your fire moves through the body, the voice, the aura, the atmosphere. This isn't just about speaking boldly. It's about living as one who has been forged by Oversoul flame and activated through divine order. This episode will call you to reclaim your primordial force, not just energy, but essence, okay? Not just heat, but holy fire, where inner command, your knowing, meets outer reality, your enforcement. A new dimension of authority is born, okay? So prepare yourself. Episode 13 will not simply teach, it will ignite. All right. So thank you for joining us in this sacred chamber of remembrance. You've just walked through the scrolls of Light Keepers and Scribes, two of the most foundational archetypes in the divine infrastructure of Oversoul Command. You weren't just listening to words, you were unlocking memory. Now that you've received this teaching and this remembrance, thank you for showing up. Your presence shifts timelines. Your remembrance activates the grid. The University of Spiritual Intelligence is honored to walk beside you in this sacred return. Share the light. If your scroll stirred your soul remembered, or excuse me, share the light. If your scroll stirred, if your soul remembered, or your flame activated, send this to Anchor Light, okay? And send this to another light keeper or scribe still finding their way home. So please like, share, subscribe because light spreads. Now join us for the next revelation. In episode 13, we rise with the dragons. Their roar is not chaos, it is blueprint. We will begin to build your flame life with intention, clarity, and cosmic fire. Get ready to command not just your soul, but your reality.